Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Melissa Sassi. She is the Chief Pinguin at IBM Hyper Product Accelerator and founder at MentorNations. Hello, Melissa. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So happy to have you here. It's really nice to
Thank you
have
for
you here.
having me.
Yes, it's amazing. Thank you. And we are going to talk today about purpose because it's really important. And Melissa is one person that she knows how to do it, how to work in her purpose. So, Melissa, introduce yourself a little for the people that doesn't know about you.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Melissa Sassi, as Hannah mentioned, and I am wearing my penguin shirt today, which I have many of them. So I am the chief penguin, as I like to call myself, of the IBM Hyper Accelerator, which is a startup program at IBM. So I'm the global head, and we focus on early stage entrepreneurs, really enabling them with business and technical, skills, access to technology, all kinds of fun stuff. I have a number of different roles that I play at IBM. I'm also a student advocate. I'm a developer advocate. I'm a judge for a program that's called Call for Code, which is all about preparing for responding to disaster scenarios and also solving societal problems like climate change or climate action, and looking at what technology can do when it comes to COVID-19. As you mentioned, I also bring my founder hat with me to IBM, because I'm a founder myself. I have my own nonprofit, and another startup venture that is more for-profit in nature, but we've essentially taught tens of thousands of young people about digital skills, technology entrepreneurship. We do digital literacy, coding, IoT, e-commerce, all kinds of fun stuff. But
Everything.
we've done that in about 12 different countries. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I don't know how do you get the time to do all those things. Maybe because you work in
You
your
know,
purpose and it's something that you really enjoy doing.
yeah, I think that's what happens, and it's like my blessing and my curse. I think when you, really have a job you enjoy and you've incorporated your purpose and your passion, into your career, I just find you end up getting a lot more done. You're accomplishing a lot more things, and I think part of that is because your heart and your soul are really part of it. I mean, I've always been a bit of a workhorse. I think my family instilled that in me at a very young age. But I find that because I'm very excited about my work, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, yay, okay, what are we going to do today? And I know not everybody feels that way.
Yes.
And I didn't always feel that way. There was a time where I'd wake up and, I'd go to work to gain my salary and I do the things I needed to do. And I was good at what I did and I finished, and that's what, it was what it was. But I think once you find a way to incorporate your purpose and passion into your career, it just has a little bit of a different meaning in life, and
Yes.
you feel a little bit differently when you're at work.
What do you mean when you say purpose? What is purpose? Because not everyone defines the word purpose in the same way. What it is for you?
Yeah, I think that for me, I kind of use purpose and passion interchangeably, and I kind of see it as that undying thing that just wakes you up in the morning. It fuels you. It kind of gets you fired up. It gets you excited. And for me, it's digital inclusion, it's empowering underserved communities, it's technology entrepreneurship, but specifically for people who are early stage founders or who've never been founders before. When I talk about those things, when I think about those things, I'm all fired up and I can't stop and I want to keep going. Not everybody is passionate about those
Yes.
things.
True.
For some people it could be keeping our oceans, clear from plastics, or it could be climate action, or it could be disaster scenarios, or it could be, gender inclusion, or it could be, racial justice or racial injustice for that matter. It could be anything.
Yeah, that's true. And how did you do the change? So working 9 to 5 to work in your passion. What made you tick?
You know, I I felt this thing for a while, and this is going back like, it really started maybe 10 years ago where, I was just doing a job I was good at because I went to school for a certain thing and I got a good job. And, I was working on Wall Street and I was, making a good salary. I had a good job title and I was, I had like kind of that dream place of where people want to be. And as I was looking around me, I felt like, what am I doing to make the world a better place? And I think that the easy answer to that could have been, well, you're making a good salary, so take part of your salary and put your salary over here. That's something I could have done, and that's what I did. And I didn't feel as connected to the work, and I wanted to. I'm a bit of a hands-on person in some respects, and I wanted to feel, really intertwined with that cause, and I didn't know what my cause was yet, until one day I decided that I really wanted to feel better about, let's say, making the world a better place. And so I went out on this mission to kind of figure out what's my purpose and passion. And I think one thing led to another. I ended up leaving Wall Street. I ended up spending some time in Central America to better my Spanish and, work with kids and do a bunch of different things that had nothing to do with work. Ended up getting offered a role at Microsoft. And, if I thought about the culture of Microsoft, very much about giving and, it was a different Microsoft at that time. But I felt like it allowed me to still make a good salary. It allowed me to work in an environment where social good was part of, the culture. And once I started in that role, it still wasn't enough for me. Like I really wanted to have something where my active role was something to do with social good, and it took me probably 5 years before I moved from, hey, I want to have social good be part of my career, to, oh wow, it is. And now I've got my purpose and passion incorporated into my job. It wasn't like all of a sudden I turned on a light switch and I said, oh, I want to help women and girls, and oh, I want to help early stage entrepreneurs. It took me a while to figure out even, what those things were that I wanted to do.
Yeah, you have to look inside yourself, right? To work in yourself. Yeah,
it took me some time to get to know myself better, but also to be comfortable in my own skin, I think a lot of us, it takes us a long time to become comfortable in our own skin. I think for me, I don't think I really became comfortable in my own skin until I turned 40, so that was like 4 years ago where I was like, okay, I kind of like myself a little bit,
Yeah, that happens. It's challenging. I read a book called the question book, What Made You Tick?
Yeah.
And that helped me because it's like, I think, 1,000 questions about yourself, the things that you never asked yourself. And I was with the book, I was like, it's true, I never think about this. And then you start working with that. It was really interesting. And what was the most...
Sounds like I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I can send you the link. And what was the most challenging part? So from when you decide, okay, I want to do this with my career, what was the most difficult thing to do, the change?
I think for me, it was finding someone who would believe in me, to see that I had the skills and capabilities and competencies to move from, what I was doing in my career, which was, marketing operations and creative agency management, into, something to do with digital inclusion. Because if you look at like that and you look over here, it's kind of like someone in the military, which I don't want to compare myself to someone in the military, but I'm going to use this comparison because let's say, for example, you spent your entire career in the military and maybe you were deployed in Iraq or Afghanistan or somewhere, and then you finish your military career and you've been you've been great thinking under pressure. You've been a great project manager or program manager or, a great leader, whatever it is. But unless you write your resume in a certain way, it's really hard for the hiring manager to see, okay, you were in the military, you were deployed here, you were deployed there. Now you're going to come here and be a project manager at a tech company. Like, unless you really paint the picture for them, they can't see the correlation and, how relevant those skills are in, from one role to the other one, And so I think for a while, I didn't really do a good job trying to articulate here to here. And I got a good mentor, a good sponsor who kind of helped me think through my, like, what skills I have, what I'm good at, where do I want to go, what do I want to do. And I realized that as I kept applying for jobs and nobody wanted to talk to me, even at my own company, that I needed to go out and do some volunteer experiences and get my own experience that way. And so I started volunteering, and I used my volunteer work to bridge between the career I wanted and the career I had. And so then my volunteer work kind of served as this nice bridge to show I have experience in, social good in these areas. And, so I just went out and kind of created my own experience. So,
Oh, that's really nice. And I was thinking, well, I have 2 daughters. One is 10 and the other one 14. And I was thinking, how can we help the young people to look for the job that make them feel good? Not do the same that we haven't done before. That is like, now you have the age, you have to finish the studies, then you have to marry, you have to buy a house, you don't have to do anything. You have to choose the life that is good for you. But I don't know how to translate this. Do you know any advice on this?
I mean, I think the thing that, when I encourage people to think about, what is their purpose and their passion, I encourage them to look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And when they look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, there's 17 of them. I ask them to, think about which one resonates with them, which one gets them fired up. That's one tool I use, and that's more on the social good side of things. But I think no matter what, passion or career avenue, any young person should be, thinking about, every career requires a certain set of skills. And, one of those things is digital literacy, that you need to be digitally literate. So I will, I encourage people to go out and learn digital skills, and I have a bunch of different, solutions that I encourage people to check out. That's one thing I do. And then, again, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. But I think at the end of the day, everybody needs to know about problem solving and critical thinking and emotional intelligence. So, I think that there are a lot of different things that a young person can learn early on and continue to refine regardless of what they study. And I know a lot of people these days who, studied theater, and now they taught themselves to code, and they're developer advocates working in tech. So, like, when they were studying theater, they never would have imagined going in and being a software developer. Or I have another situation where I have a friend who wanted to be a fashion designer, and, she, went off and became an engineer, and now she's a fashion designer and an engineer. So I think there are many different paths that, young people can take. And sometimes whatever your degree is, or whether you have one or not, doesn't, might not necessarily be a determinant to what your actual job is going to be.
Yeah, that's true. I know a lot of people like me. I studied finance. And then when I started working, I was like, this is so boring. This is not for me. I need to create. And then I studied marketing.
Yeah.
So I also did it. I know a lot of people that changed, but I always think, why it's like we follow the role that like we are supposed to do, not what we feel. We do it later in life. So it's curious how we do it. And do you know more exercises that the people can do? There are some kind of exercises to discover what are your passions.
I really think I don't know if this is an exercise, but I think going to globalgoals.org and reading every single UN Sustainable Development Goal and reading about, which one is which, I think in my mind kind of helps people to refine which one they're fired up about, and then kind of figuring out from there what is something that they could do to solve that challenge in their home. in their neighborhood, not thinking about the world, because it's hard to figure out, how do I solve climate change? Well, what is something you can do in your home, and what is something that you can do with a local nonprofit or NGO, or a local startup.
So to put a smaller goals to know what you want.
Yeah, I think it's step by step. And I think on the digital skills front, I think that there's some, I don't know, I kind of have fun using going to code.org and playing around with the introductory building blocks of learning to code. It's not going to teach you how to build this amazing application, but it's going to give you some basic skills so that you can kind of understand what it means to learn to code. And I don't think that everyone should learn to code. Not everyone should be an engineer. Not everyone should be a doctor. Not everyone should be a whatever. But I think it's good to be exposed to digital skills and understand what computer science is all about.
Yeah, I think the basics, at least, we all should know, because the life is going to digital. So we need to know. But yeah, it's true. I know a person here in the Netherlands that she is a doctor. And she was with consulting patients and everything, and now she's presented on TV. So it's like, cool. Wow, it's a really big change. So it's amazing. We need to listen to ourselves. Yeah, wow, it's great.
That's cool.
And any other thing that you would like to add about purpose, Melissa?
I think that it's never too late to find a way to add purpose and passion into your career. If you're already in your career and you're thinking, wow, I'm a vice president, or I'm a senior manager, or I'm a director, and I'm leading a team of people, and I have these job responsibilities, what are some things that you could carve out that is endemic to the company that would enable you and or your team to create some passion and empower, your employees or your colleagues to incorporate their passion. I'm very thankful that, I work in a team at IBM where I have an opportunity to not just do my job and what's on paper, but also what I'm passionate about. And I think that a lot of the job that I have a lot of the reasons I have the job right now is because I've incorporated a lot of my purpose and passion into that job. Not only because they've given me the leeway to do so, but I've also demanded that I need that flexibility, and I encourage everyone to think about that. I often have people who've been in their careers for 30 years, coming to me saying, wow, you've incorporated purpose and passion into your life and your career. How do I do the same? I feel like I come in, I do analytics, I, attend briefings, I lead briefings, I, approve expense reports. And sometimes I feel like all I'm doing is reporting and responding to emails and issues, and, I give them the same kind of feedback. That it's never too late, and you're never too senior or too junior to figure this out.
Yeah, it's important, because then you feel good and you do better the job. You are also more productive.
That's exactly right.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe it will be good to all the companies to integrate this like a methodology to help the people, because then it will be much better.
Well, I think that, you've got, reports from kind of from the BlackRock, for example, where Larry Fink, put out some, information about conscious capitalism and corporate social responsibility and the importance of, a company, needing to have, social interests, and that business does play a role in helping to make the world a better place. And at the end of the day, companies are run by people. And so that means you. That means me.
Yeah, it's important if the people is happy. But it's in every place in life, in everything, not only at work. If you are happy with what you're doing and you are passionate, you do it better. And the times fly.
It's true.
Because for me, it's the same. I'm happy with my job. I love what I do. And sometimes I don't realize, and I'm just working. It's like, okay, I need to stop. Because if you enjoy it, you don't feel like working. Yes.
I think it also gives you just a little bit of break from things,
Yeah, that's true. It's great. And what do you think about having your passion aside the work? Because maybe some people also like to have a job just to work without thinking, and then have their passions in their free time. Or, I don't know.
I think that everybody has their way, and if separating the two, works better for your work-life balance and for your mental health, then that's what you do. Not everybody needs to incorporate that purpose and passion into the job, but I think it's important that it exists somewhere in life. Whether it sits separately or is incorporated in there. I find that I can make a bigger impact and a bigger difference by incorporating it into my role in my job. But I also work for a big company, and I have the ability to make a big, lasting impact with millions of people from around the world. Not everybody has that opportunity, depending upon the company that you work for, and your leadership team may not be as open to these kind of things. Not every manager that I've ever had has been the best. I'm thankful I have a great leadership team now, but we've all had bad managers. I've certainly had that bad manager who wanted to micromanage every single day, where I was like,
me too.
Hold up, this is not going to work out. I need to get the heck on out of here rather quick. And I did.
Yeah, that happened to me too. But it's another example that when they do this, it cannot work. So, yes, it's important to be happy at work otherwise. But also, not only because of the passion, also the way they treat people. Yeah, but
it's true. I think you have to have that balance of, liking what you do, feeling like you're valued, feeling like you're making a difference, feeling appreciated, and feeling, recognized for your work. And that could be just, the basics of doing your job, all the way through to making the world a better place and, creating something that didn't exist before.
Yeah, that's true. It's really important. Yeah, that's true. Really interesting, Melissa. So if you have anything else to add, or otherwise, for me, it's really clear and all the things that we can
Awesome. My recommendation would be, if you've been thinking about how to incorporate purpose and passion into your career, or how to incorporate purpose and passion into your life, read about, go online and read about purpose and passion. Go and look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals. See what fires you up. The only thing that's stopping you from incorporating this into your life is you. And we're often our worst enemies. So whatever that thing is, go out and do that thing.
Yeah, that's what they say. That if you say you can do it, you can do it. If you say you cannot do it, you cannot do it.
That's exactly right.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you, Melissa. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
It was great to have you here. Enjoy in Puerto Rico. And take care.
Thank you. I will.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.